Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Saturday, the 5th of April 2025, the year BSV comes alive. Experience the best of both worlds at betbitcoinsv.com, the best casino and sports betting on chain. Have a little flutter in private using the original protocol and genuine Bitcoin. Let's see what we got today. So, Robin Minotti has said here, the EU is about to plunder all of the saving accounts in the EU to send to Ursula's cronies in arms manufacturing. This is a warning. So again, they're going to be doing to everybody in the EU exactly what they did to Enoch Burke. All those sheeple have no idea, but this is why we need everything on the Bitcoin network. Check this one out. Breaking, Doge halts yearly payment of $2.5 million to Barack Obama for royalties linked to Obamacare. Obama has collected this payment since 2010 for a total of $40 million in taxpayer dollars, and they call it royalties. Honestly, absolutely outrageous. Got some more posts here from Brian Doherty. CSW's been motoring along. A little video here from Jack Dorsey. More from Brian Doherty. A CoinGeek article. Cointelegraph has said something about Satoshi turning 50 years. We'll have a look at that. Michael Saylor, doing his usual thing. Some 365 days of Bitcoin history. We'll look at the transactions one more time, and then that'll be the end of the show. Right, let's get into it.
See Satoshi like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Teranode, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. So this is basically what is going on in the EU right now. And as we know, it's a satanic plot to try and bring the EU together to go against supposedly the word of God in the book of Daniel, referring to the countries of Europe saying thou shalt not cleave. So they were like, all right, Satanists got straight together. They were just, all right, let's try and form the European Union. Now they formed the European Union. They want to plunder everybody's bank accounts because they own the central banks. Obviously, the European Central Bank is what controls everything in Europe, and the European Central Bank has been made untouchable by those who created it. You're not allowed to question it. You're not allowed to literally say anything bad against it. It's never been audited, along with the Federal Reserve. Literally the largest criminal enterprise the world has ever known. And again, this is why the world needs Bitcoin, but it's explaining it to everybody. If only they knew. But I mean, trying to get through to shitcoiners with shit for brains is a little bit difficult. They're only going to come across when number goes up, and number go up is only going to come with utility, really. But this is the issue that we're facing. So time is of the essence, and people have got to wake up. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing my show, trying to educate people on it. And again, another reason as to why we need Bitcoin. And the world needs to run on Bitcoin because literally fiat currency is made up on the spot from nothing. And when it's printed, the effects of inflation have a detrimental effect on those who don't receive it. So literally all those criminals at the top are literally finding fancy ways of money laundering. Not that it's money, should be currency laundering. And this is a classic example, calling Obamacare like royalties, like honestly, and the amount of damage that has done to people, because basically, everybody's health insurance is so massive, and the food is so toxic over there because of the big agriculture and all the chemical manufacturers that spray all the foods. So people are obviously going to need medical care when they're eating loads of toxins. It's outrageous what's been going on. And then Obama was just like, I'll have a royalty payment every year for my my Obamacare that I'm going to make, and you name it after myself. No ego there whatsoever. But this wouldn't be allowed to happen and couldn't happen if the world ran on Bitcoin. Literally, because they can't make this shit up. The market would decide what they do and what they don't want. Whereas at the moment, it's the banks that are deciding what we do and we don't want, which is why they're destroying everything, and why everybody's health is suffering so badly. Yeah. Moral of the story is, the world needs Bitcoin. Brian Doherty has said here, early data from Certiash is in, and its massive 80% plus share of the BSV stress test, 5+ million transactions in 24 hours. Real-time monitoring now live, more soon. And that's with Greg, loving that. Look at that estimated 30 share of BSV blockchain during stress test. So they might be stress testing, but the transactions are still genuine. They are on chain. They are being paid for, and it's proving that the network can scale to the capacity that is required, which is, you know, millions of transactions per second. Beautiful. Love hearing stories like that. I think there was also Scott 369 BSV commented on Internet Sleuth. We'll have a look at. In fact, we'll have a look at that now. Actually, here we go. I'm sure he posted about Internet Sleuth. Here, oh yeah, Boring Sleuth. Let's have a look at this then. So he said, Boring Sleuth is impressed with BSV. It's happening, guys. The guy who sniffs out all the corruption on blockchain is praising BSV. Think about that for a second. The guy who would out his own nan if she stole a toffee is praising the scam that is BSV. Finally, BSV is getting the recognition it deserves. And all thanks to Smart Ledger boys. Well done. Keep up the good work. Awesome. So who's this side? Boring Sleuth goes under the name of Truth Labs. He said Sentinel node on at BSV blockchain confirmed 12.7 million transactions in a day. That's more than BTC, Ethereum, XL, I think that's Stellar or Monero, XRP, HBAR, Ava, Binance, Cardano, and Matic combined. A small step for BSV, but one giant leap for blockchains. Color me impressed. Loving that. Loving that. And that's 44,000 followers there. I mean, it's the first I've ever heard of this guy, Boring Sleuth, but Scott's obviously done his background checks on him to be able to know that that's the kind of guy that he's like. Just speaks the truth by the sounds of it. The truth shall set you free. Loving that. Right, CSW has said here in some more posts. Good to see him, you know, back in the ring again. So he said, boxing again, sparring back on the table. Took a few hits, face once, body a handful, but came out ahead. Timing returned, controls sharp, and I swept my trainer 4 times. Landed solid shots, stayed composed. Reach helps, always has. The knees still wrecked, barely holding together. Shoulders needs rebuilding piece by piece, but the engine's turning over again. Movement's returning, the fight is still there, loving that. Not back to normal yet, not even close, but I'm heading in that direction, and for the first time in a long time, that feels real. Loving that. Well done, Craig. Getting back in the saddle. So he's had some more posts here as well. Might not be able to get through all of these because time is ticking. But he said they sat there on TV with their slick hair and their shark teeth, talking about how the foreigners were going to pay for the privilege of selling junk to America. Tariffs, they called it. A toll at the gate, but the gates in Detroit, and the toll booths in Kansas. And the guy paying it is some overworked sap trying to buy a new washing machine that now costs $100 more because some orange-faced clown in DC wants to swing his economic dick. It's like in the 1950s again. You slap a tariff on imported steel, and who steals it? The guy building your trailer park. You tax the aluminium, and it's your 6-pack of beer that costs more. The foreign companies, they laugh and pass the bill to the American distributor, who passes it on to the store, who sticks it right in your face with a smile and a barcode, and you pay it. Like a good little idiot, they tell you it's about jobs, sure, jobs that never come back, because factories don't raise from the asphalt, because just because you made the imported bolts more expensive, they raise from innovation, from blood and fire and guts, none of which you'll find in a government memo. That's true. And this talk is about making China bleed. Hell, China's got back doors, side deals, a whole continent to sell to. They ride the wave. It's the American sucker that gets the boot in the teeth. But maybe that's the point. Maybe the real aim is collapse. Yeah, I think so. To burn the house down and say, look, it was termites. Drag the whole world down just to prove you could throw a punch. But when the fire spreads, it's your mattress that burns, not theirs. They've got exits. You've got credit and debt, and a fridge made in Korea. But that's just broken again. So yeah, they said the world would pay, but it was always you. Always. What a great post that was. Literally like a poet. And this was in response to Truth Machine. So Truth Machine said, if it is a tax, one thing to think about is that the tax base has shifted from 300 million Americans to 8 billion global citizens. While Americans will share in this burden due to tariffs, so will the companies that want to compete to sell goods to Americans. And in response to that, CSW has put here, they call it a vision, a dream, a plan to bring it all back. Smokestacks and steel-toed boots, fathers punching clocks, lunch pails, the whole greasy mess. What they don't say is that it's a lie, a sleight of hand using flags and drums to cover up the fact that it's a tax. That's all a tariff is, a tax dressed up with a national bluster, chant about factories and greatness, but you're taxing the people who buy. You're not lifting up anyone. You're changing them to the rusted out bones of something that died for a reason. You don't revive the dead by turning off the ventilator in the living room next door. You don't get innovation by rewarding mediocrity. These companies, the ones that couldn't compete, didn't fall because of sabotage. They died because they were slow, because they were bloated, because someone overseas did it faster and cheaper and better. And now some half-drunk oracle wants to pretend that forcing Americans to pay more for crappier goods is a strategy. That's not economics, that's cowardice and a red tie. Jobs don't come from waving a wand or passing a decree. They come from value, from producing more with less, from the cold arithmetic of efficiency. You don't build a future by punishing productivity. You don't make your country strong by picking losers and wrapping them in protection. That's not capitalism. It's hospice ward for the incompetent. And the worst part is people cheer. They cheer because they want to believe, because it's easier to blame the world than to face the truth. The truth is harsh. It says you need to be better, smarter, faster. It says the world owes you nothing but the space to try. Tariffs don't bring jobs back. They bring stagnation. They bring price hikes. They bring corruption. They bring failure dressed up in the language of patriotism and fear. That isn't a dream. It's the same old scam. Sold with a grin and a slogan. A tax is a tax is a tax. Wrap it in whatever colours you want, but at the end of the day, you're reaching into the pockets of working people. Some fat bastard in a dying industry can keep pretending it matters. Unfortunately, that is true. That is absolutely true. Trump's new slogan might as well be "Make America Small Again." Strip away the noise, the hats, the flags wavings like desperate prayers, and that's what's left. A plan to shrink the country down to its fears. Close the gates, raise the prices, protect the weak by punishing the strong. It's not about greatness, it's about retreat. About crawling back into some imagined past where the world stopped turning and nobody had to compete. It's the politics of envy wrapped in the language of pride. He's right. He's right. That is exactly what's going on. It's exactly what's going on. And talking about what's going on, Jack Dorsey tells you what's going on with Bitcoin. Have a listen to this.
Like it fails to be relevant to people on a daily basis. Like it fails to be relevant to people on a daily basis.
And that's when he's talking about BTC failing, literally. Samsung Mao saying, oh, you know, BTC needs to be at $250,000. Nowhere near sunshine. Nowhere near sunshine. And then Jack here saying, oh, it needs to be relevant to people. Because if it's not relevant, people won't use it. Well, duh. Like, when's it going to take it? How long is it going to take you to figure that out? Honestly, they're all in this together. You know, cahoots and all that. Brian Doty said here, Certihash Sentinel node outperforms 13 leading blockchains. In just 24 hours, Certihash processed 25,697,583 transactions. That's 297.43 transactions per second. More than the combined daily volume of all these shitcoins. Brilliant. Look at that. Loving that. That is going to be the thumbnail for today's show. Loving that. What else he said? Yeah, loving that. We'll have a just a quick look at this one. So this was article by CoinGeek from George Satoshi Samuels saying why advancing Teranode developers is a better path for BSV. So I think he was going on about changing the name. The name inspires why Teranode wins over BSV. Not really, mate. You can't be changing names like every Tom, Dick and Harry. Whenever you feel like it. Bitcoin is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin, Satoshi Vision, is the genuine Bitcoin. That's it. But let's see what he says here. So this post is a guest contribution by George Satoshi Samuels, managing director at FIRE. See how FIRE is committed to staying at the forefront of technological advancements here. The blockchain space has matured significantly in recent years, with projects like Ethereum's matured significantly with scam coins like Ethereum, Solana, Polkadot, demonstrating what it takes to build thriving ecosystems. Are you effing kidding me? Thinking he's already, his point of view is misguided and wrong there. He said, yet BSV, despite its compelling vision for a scalable blockchain for enterprise and government applications, remains at a crossroads. Not really. Not in my opinion, it's not. While its goals are ambitious, its execution strategy requires recalibration. Don't agree with that at all. A significant shift in focus from BSV developers to Teranode developers, maybe, could be the catalyst needed to unlock the ecosystem's full potential. It's the ChatGTP moment. This isn't just about optics or branding. It's a call to realign with Bitcoin Satoshi Vision while acknowledging the realities of today's tech landscape. Here's why advancing Teranode developers may be a better path forward. A name that inspires why Teranode wins over BSV. Well, you can have both. Let's address the elephant in the room. The name BSV, while it represents the Bitcoin Satoshi Vision, the reality is that the ticker has been mired in controversy. Well, the controversy is fake. Doesn't matter what name or ticker you use. They're going to come at it and do the same thing. This doesn't mean we abandon its roots, but the term BSV can create barriers in conversations with developers, enterprises and government bodies. Not really, not if they're not shitcoiners. Not all, but a fair many. The name carries baggage, associations with legal disputes, philosophical divides and skepticism about scalability claims. That can deter newcomers from exploring the technology. Yeah, but they'll just all come piling in when numbers go up, really. And that's what you need transactions for. Some would argue that this is a good thing, others not so much. Enter Teranode, a name that is much slicker, tech forward and naturally appealing to developers. It's not just cool, it's not just cool to say, but it also reflects the underlying purpose of the technology, a blockchain system built for massive scalability. Unlike BSV, which carries historical weight, Teranode resonates with those seeking better solutions for big data, global payments, and enterprise-grade applications. Teranode isn't about rebranding, it's about creating a truly developer-first culture that emphasizes the power of scalable blockchain technology. Developers need a rallying point, and Teranode offers exactly that. By positioning Teranode as the face of the ecosystem, BSV can signal a fresh start while staying true to its core principles. Yeah, but it's always going to be listed on exchanges as BSV. And removing that now would be disastrous. This is the third time. Don't do it again. And I would actually say that BSV has got an extremely good brand amongst all those intelligent people who fully understand that it is Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. And now that we know Satoshi's vision was for the first ever digital commoditized network, and the data can only be commoditized one way, everybody knows exactly what it stands for. And everybody will just come, honestly, all those shitcoiners over on BTC, they traders, they've got no loyalty to anything, no ticker symbol, nothing. Literally, all they care about is dollar worshipping. You watch them when number goes up. Traders are literally like financial parasites. They do not care. They have got no allegiance to anything other than dollar worshipping. You watch. However, rebranding alone won't solve deeper issues. Well, there's no point in rebranding at all. The crypto ecosystem often thrives on marketing hype. Well, that's because they want Ponzi schemes, rather than functionality, unfortunately leading to scams and inflated expectations. BSV must focus on delivering tangible results, well, that's going to come through transaction volume, to avoid falling into this trap. As the saying goes, actions speak louder than words. Rebranding should complement, not replace, the hard work of building utility and trust. I don't think we need to go on about rebranding at all. At all. I knew that when the ticker symbol BSV came about, immediately I took to it. I loved it, loved the colours, loved everything. It just worked for me. Like B Crash, when it looked like, you know, bitch, BCH, I was just like, this is never going to work. Honestly, it was horrendous. It made my skin crawl. And then BSV came out and I was just like, love it. Love it. Straight away. You know, it's got the straightened out B. It uses the original yellow colour. You know, no rebranding needed at all. At all. The missed opportunity, developers first, then enterprise. In the blockchain industry, success stories repeatedly highlight one truth: developers drive adoption. Utility drives adoption. Utility from those companies who suddenly realize what blockchain is meant to be for, which is securing their data, making it safe from cybersecurity, virus, software, and hackers, really. So he continues, projects like Ethereum, Solana, and even BTC have shown that that attracting and supporting a thriving developer community. Are you shitting me? They're absolute shite. There is nothing of any value on any of those chains. None. But a thriving community is the linchpin for long-term success. No, number go up, pumped by Tether is what they're living on, and their days are numbered. Once developers create products and tools that provide the system's value, enterprise and governments inevitably follow. No. I would say developers follow enterprise and governments. And I'm sure that that's what CSW's strategy is. BSV has taken an old school approach which might have worked well once upon a time by focusing directly on enterprise and government use cases. Well, that's where the transaction volume is going to be. You just need to scale it. This isn't wrong in principle, but it skips a critical step. Enterprise doesn't adopt technology because they were educated onto it. I'd say they were. They adopt it because the technology has already demonstrated its value. Well, again, they need to be educated and told about it, but that couldn't happen not until, you know, Craig had the Tulip Trust in his possession. And that wasn't until January 2020. That's 5 years ago now. Look at the relative market success of BTC. Are you kidding me? Are you seriously kidding me? You're telling me that? You want me to look at the relative market success of BTC and Ethereum? Like, seriously, if you were in front of my face and said that, I would tell you to do one. What the hell? They became industry leaders not because enterprise were courted directly, but because developers built applications that drew users and created market demands. Mate, you're living in cloud cuckoo land. You're living in BTC land. They want you to believe all this shit. Literally, it is number go up, pump from Tether, and that is it. Yeah, I'm not going to read anymore. It's 23 minutes already. We'll just touch on this article by Cointelegraph saying Satoshi Nakamoto turns 50 as Bitcoin becomes US reserve asset. Yeah, whatever. Just quickly then. So Nakamoto's legacy grew from a simple experiment to a cornerstone of economic sovereignty. Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin, marks their 50th birthday amid a year of rising institutional and geopolitical adoption of the world's first cryptocurrency. The identity of Satoshi Nakamoto remains one of the biggest mysteries in crypto. Bullshit. With speculation ranging from cryptographers like Adam Back, Nick Szabo, yeah, alright mate, to broader theories involving government intelligence agencies. While Nakamoto's identity remains anonymous, the Gregcoin creator is believed to have turned 50 on April 5th based on details shared in the past. According to archive data from his peer-to-peer foundation profile, Nakamoto once claimed to be a 37-year-old man living in Japan and listed his birthday as April 5th, 1975. I'm not going to read the rest of it because that's all we really need to know about that one. Great stuff. So this was Michael Saylor here being interviewed. The documenting Saylor X profile says Michael Saylor explains the game theory behind why nation states will adopt Bitcoin rather than trying to back it. Listen to this.
To block Bitcoin is digital power. It's 350 exahash. That equates to $20 billion worth of computer equipment. And then you can value the energy. If it's 5 cents a kilowatt hour, you're getting to $5-6 billion a year. That's what it takes to run the network, but that's not what it takes to attack the network. If I'm a nation state and I wanted to block every message for the next 6 hours, I need to win the next 60 blocks. And that means I need to bring online 3,500 exahash of computer power. The problem with that is if I hijacked all of the Google, Amazon, and Microsoft computer power, I could maybe bring on 5 exahash. So you would need 2,000 times as much energy. That's all the energy on Earth. Doesn't work. You need 3.
Yeah, I had to pause it during them because I don't want any copyrights and all that. But I just said, or you could just create an alternative protocol, collude with crypto exchanges, and get your new alternative, non-functioning, economically worthless shitcoin listed with a BTC ticker. Much easier, which is exactly what the central banks did. Honestly, he has no idea. No idea. All right, let's get into some 365 days of Bitcoin history then. So check this out. On the 5th of April, 1933 was the issuing of Executive Order 6102 that stole all the gold from the citizens in the United States. Honestly, I remember first hearing about that. I literally couldn't believe what I was hearing. But again, once they'd stolen all the gold, that's when they had that worship to Baal ceremony at Soldiers Field in Chicago. I think that was in June. So after that was issued in April, sort of like concluded in May, they then had this massive Baal worshipping ceremony, which they called, I think, Romancing the People, which led on to them, creating the State of Israel, On the 5th of April 2011, bitmarket.eu begins facilitating trades in euros and other currencies. Together, they simplify Bitcoin's ownership and trading for hundreds of millions of new users, and the market has expanded enormously. 5th of April 2019, this was Craig Wright said, Satoshi Nakamoto is an amalgamation of Tominaga Nakamoto and Ash Ketchum Satoshi. And that's what he said. So that's how he made the word Satoshi Nakamoto. On the 5th of April 2024, so a year ago today, there was an article here in The Guardian entitled The Street Fighter, a 70k donation, how Christian Ager Hansen got close to the Tories. Yeah, we all remember that. And the 5th of April, a year ago today, was also hijacking Bitcoin. The Hidden History of BTC officially released, and that was Roger Ver's story trying to cover his own tracks with, that shitcoiner Steve, whatever his name is. Steve Cowpat Patterson. That's right. Yeah. Don't look at how we corrupted Bitcoin. Look at how they corrupted Bitcoin. Is basically what the book should have been entitled. But anyway, let's have a look at transactions where we are right now. Oh, we'll refresh this page just quickly. 25,049,285 transactions. Oh, it looks like it's being maintained. Beautiful. Right, there we go. That is a 28-minute show. We'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it as ever. If you enjoyed these updates, please ding your donations to your appreciation to either Satoshi@Sembi.com, handcash.io, rockwallet.me, simply.cash, relasia.com, or senti.ch. We'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it as ever. Be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
The king still has one more move.